A Shalom Markin to come back apart from Jim is loving giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashar Hakodash. Want to give double honors unto the elders, the apostles of GMS. Shalom out there to the whole for that's pushing his truth in all sincerity. Back again with another video. I'm going to entitle this one the Ish-ites, right? The J Ish, ites, right? They're bitching again, right? Something like that. Right. And you got this article here. I got this from Fox News, right? I saw it originally somewhere else. It might have been a video or something like that. But I heard about this, and I heard about it at the same time, pretty much as that, right about the same time as the Bondi beach shooting. So I kind of thought they were linked, but I think this has actually been going on for a little bit now. As you see here, titled "Christian Pastors Influencers Join 1,000 Strong Israel Mission Back in the Ish State, Fighting and anti-Ems," right? Yeah, so this is what this is dated 7th of December, right? And the Bondi thing was a few days ago. So this something that was already in the works. So it wasn't triggered from the Bondi thing, but the Bondi shooting is definitely playing its part, right? For them, to feel to make the world believe that these are some persecuted people, right? Because they have to keep up that image, man. Because otherwise, because the Israelites are meant to be a persecuted people, oppressed, right? And we are, right? But it ain't these dudes, right? You can't simultaneously be the oppressor and the oppressed at the same time. It don't make no fucking sense, right? These men got all kind of power, right? But yet they're the most, as they would put it, the most persecuted people on the planet, right? It just don't make no sense, right? And this is what we keep telling you, man. These men are doing nothing but witchcraft, lies, right? Trying to convince you that these are the people the Bible is speaking about when it isn't, right? And even this term J-ish, right? It says it all really if you understand words. But when the elder brothers was going into it the other day, the ish suffix on the word Jew it means to be similar to, right? It don't mean that you are. It means you're similar to, i.e., supposedly, right? You don't, but supposedly, right? You keep the practices of what they call Judaism, right? Because that's what the world has been taught that the Jews followed or kept, right? Which is not accurate, but you know you're similar to those guys, but you're not those guys. You ain't sons of Jacob, right? You have no lineage, no lineage connecting you to Jacob and the 12 patriarchs. You don't, all right? But you come in with some bullshit and call yourself J-ish, all right? But we know the deal. These people out here don't know the deal, but we know the deal, right? And you don't fulfill biblical prophecy, all right? So, but specifically this article, they're obviously losing, the information war, what they got, right? Because despite all the media that they got currently, right? People are not buying it. People are not eating it no more, right? Because they're seeing all the craziness that you're doing on the planet, man, and they're just thinking, man, these guys ain't right. These guys ain't right, man. But now you're paying for these influencers, these Christian pastors and influencers who reside over massive congregations in viewers and stuff like this, man, to try and convince them and their viewers, their followers, to believe your narrative, right? Because you're losing, right? Tell me, right? If you were the children of Jacob, right? Would you need to be doing all of this if you had been restored? Because apparently 1948, 1949, you got restored, right? Would you need to be doing all of this? It's supposed to be an evident thing that you're the children of the Most High, but it ain't, and you do everything contrary to that. So how is it you are the people, and and belong in that land. Where you're at, while you're at the same time you're out here, blowing up the weak that are around you. Saying, "Oh, them men trying to destroy us," but you got a whole military, air support, nukes, and everything, and you're bitching about some little Palestinians who got some, fireworks that they send over the board now and again. Or they came and abducted us and blah 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 blah. All these narratives that to make us believe that you're being persecuted, but you're doing far worse, far worse to everybody else. But you got to try and convince these people that your version of the narrative is the truth, right? Where everyone's seeing it, bro. You man are just demons, all right? But let me get into some of this article. Actually, let me open up with scripture, right? Oops. I'm looking for bookmarks. It's Revelation chapter 2, verse 9. So I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. Right? We're rich. The Israelites or the elect of Israel are really rich with this knowledge. Okay, this is our riches, right? We're poor in the physical, in the carnal sense. All right, we suffer in the carnal sense, which is opposite to these Ish-ites, man. They're not suffering poverty. They don't suffer, in the carnal sense, right? And that's why they have to orchestrate things to make it look like, things is happening to them. But they have things. They have wealth, property, power, control over things, right? But they don't follow the scriptures. As much as they're supposed to be, holy people, they don't follow no tenets. Like they run democracy. They run, human rights supposedly, right? When they feel like it. They don't follow the laws of the Bible. Yeah, sure. They hold a Sabbath and all these different type of things. They will do things which are similar because they're Ish-ites. They do things that are similar or sound like, they keep the laws and all this kind of business, but they're not really about that. It's a secular nation. Like I said, they got all pink parades and shit going on there. They don't follow the scriptures. All right. So I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. And that's only the truth, right? And even though this is not really technically being spoken about, these latter day, imposters, right? This is being spoken to our own people, but they're doing this now, right? They're parading around as men, as the children of God, and they're not. All right, so all liars are going to be found out. All right, so you can apply this to them today, okay? Because this is exactly what they're doing. Okay, so yeah, they're the synagogue of Satan, the adversary, the liars, right? So I'll start off with that, but now I'm gonna, let's get into this article. I've got a little bit to read. All right, I'll skip through some of this. Right, it says a delegation of 1,000 U.S. Christian pastors and influencers, the largest group of American Christian leaders to visit Israel since its founding. Okay, 1948 was it? 1949, 1948. Arrived last Tuesday as part of a Friends of Zion initiative. The trip, organized in partnership with the Israeli, is not really, right? Ministry of Foreign Affairs, is designed to provide training. These men are getting groomed and trained up to speak certain things to the congregation, to give them their truth, to tell your congregation that this is the truth, this is the narrative, this is the story, that to make you believe and to convince others that this is what's going on, right? To basically hoodwink them into believing these men are holy and righteous, right? So yes, to provide training and prepare participants to serve as unofficial ambassadors for Israel in their communities. Dr. Mike Evans, founder of the Friends of Zion Heritage Center in Jerusalem and a confidant of President Donald Trump, said most evangelical Bible believers are Zionists, right, making them a key ally in efforts to counter anti-SMs, right? These devils, that hate Jews hate Christians just as much, right? And they're, they're really speaking towards these Muslim groups, right? Because as we know in the Albert Pike plan, right, that's the one of the battles, or the main battle, that they're thrown out there for the world to, consume and be exhausted by, before bringing in the Luciferian doctrine, right? Because the war is going to be fought over this, right? World War III. All right. So what is being said against the state of Israel is 100 times worse than what the Nazis said on their party platform in 1920. Right? Everyone is ignoring it, right? Because they're tired of your bullshit. They're tired, man. Like, you're being a victim on the earth, but at the same time, you're being an oppressor. It's like they're tired of it, man. Right? And so those that actually know the story, or what went down, prior to World War II, and with the whole Germany and the small hat situation, right? Their man were doing folly, man. Their small hats were doing folly, right? And just like then, Germany had enough, right? It says they don't realize how dangerous this is, Evans told Fox News Digital, right? The new wars of the 21st century are media wars, ideological wars, economic wars, and proxy wars. And while Israel has never fought an ideological war, you kind of outed yourself because they fought all these other ones, proxy, right? They're setting all kinds of shit going on, right? While Israel never fought an ideological war, its enemies have, he added. Evans said members of visiting delegation were vetted to ensure no hidden agendas and signed to make sure these guys were legit, right? They don't want to hear no BS, right? It has to be the narrative, right? You have to be a supporter. Okay, no criticism can be spoken among these dudes, right? Everyone knows that for a fact, right? Vetted to ensure no hidden agendas and signed a pledge committing to stand in solidarity with the Ish-ites. We had over 2,000 apply. We chose those best suited for this trip. These 1,000 pastors represent tens of millions of Americans and have major media and social media influence, he said. Right, and that's the important thing. That's what they want. The biggest followers, so they can, do their witchcraft. The initiative was approved by Prime Minister Benjamin Netty, right? Who Evans has known for 45 years. This is funny, right? When we were on Mount Herzl, one widow was there sharing her story. Her daughter no longer has a daddy. Thinking that my little girl might not have her daddy broke my heart, right? So they're empathetic or sympathetic to those, these guys that when they lose people or whatever, right? But they don't care about all the people that all the families and innocent people that they destroyed. Their heart don't go out to them. Which shows you devils just have double standards, man. The devil don't care about nothing but the devil. That's why he has no love for you other nations, man. So I connected on a deep personal level. Ooh, right? Yeah, well, the Palestinians lost bare children. Most of them, they've been killed as children. Women and children. Right? The Israeli bombs have been, dropping. You know what I mean? This is Tamarind Foley, a member of the National Faith Advisory Board, blah, blah, blah. So the board is the largest coalition backing and advocating for people of faith, led by Pastor Paula White Cain, right? White Cain. Its mission is built on 4 pillars: protecting religious freedom, promoting a strong America, defending life at all stages, and honoring family values. And it identifies the U.S.-Israel alliance as central to that agenda. Blah, blah, blah. So I'm going back home with a fire to make sure young people in my country know the truth. Their version of the truth. Right? You're going to convince them that, this is what's going on. Right? But it's lies from the beginning. Right? Because you might not know even the biblical children. So it's a lie. It's one thing to understand something intellectually and another to come here, meet people who have been affected and connect with them on a heart level. She continued, well, yeah, that's it. But there's people going out there to Palestine to connect with them, to see what, damage you've done there. Or they're not right for doing that. Or, is their lives don't mean as much, I guess, You're wrong to care, about the other children in different nations that, are not getting scattered about the place. Um, it says there is so much negative propaganda in our country. It's loud, and we need to do a better job, right? So they're losing this information one. This is why they getting all these guys in to kind of change that, right? Because the media ain't cutting it no more. No one's listening to mainstream media anymore. They're not buying your bullshit, right? Because they know you run it. They know you run it, so they're not looking to these mainstream media outlets anymore. Everyone's getting information from elsewhere, right? So they need to combat that, and so they're getting all these influencers and whatever to reach out to as many people as they can to change the narrative, right? To put them in a good light. Um, it says it's loud, and we need to do a better job of educating young people. They are capable of seeing through the nonsense and lies. Yeah, that's why you're losing. I don't think we give them enough credit. We need to present them with the truth and plant the seed for long life support for Israel. What, even if you're wicked, but you could never be wicked. You never do nothing wrong, right? So one objective of the training, he explained, is to reach young people, claiming countries like Qatar have turned against Israel by investing billions of dollars to spread anti-SM's content through universities and digital platforms. Evans said the Muslim Brotherhood, for example, right? This could really extend to anybody that speaks against them, basically, right? They call these guys in Israel calling anyone that speaks against them enemies, right? So we see how they deal with their enemies, right? One guy was talking like that. All right, so Evans said the Muslim Brotherhood, for example, has waged ideological warfare, describing it as a powerful demons, right? Because it doesn't clear customs and you can't kill it with a bullet, right? More than half of the Palestinian population embraces Hamas ideology of radical Islam, he claimed, right? Which isn't based on that land for peace, but on establishing an Islamic state and eradicating the Jewish state, right? So that's what they're claiming, because they said they always have to be under this persecution, right? But what they ain't telling you, right? The most of the people that that they be deleting off the earth, right? A lot of them are Christians. A lot of them are Christians, but I won't talk about that part of things because they don't care at that point. It's just they have to focus on the extreme element, okay, which might be a handful of people, not literally, but a small group of people relatively, right? And that's the focus. That has to be the focus for them because they're under threat all the damn time, right? They won't care. They don't care about the women and children that are not involved. Okay, but what they do end up doing is creating more of this anti-Israel sentiment from them because they're just indiscriminately, deleting people, women and children, right? And that's not even talking about all the other stuff, like how you came into the land in the first place. These men were living there before you, and you just rolled in there and moved everybody out. Had a big war, all this thing, right? So they're mad already. Like there's already been injustice been done on your side, right? But you don't want to tell that story. You don't want to put that in, as in part of the equation. All you're trying to put is that these men are just savages because they're Muslims or whatever, right? Which is not the whole truth, right? It's not the truth. Um, Evan noted that the evangelical, Evans noted that the evangelical movement, representing 9.7% of the global population, right? It's quite a chunk, has significantly influenced U.S. foreign policy through its belief that the biblical land belongs to the Ish-ite people, right? And that is an incorrect statement, right? That is an incorrect statement. No, the land belongs to the Israelites. Okay, the Ish-ite people, I don't know who they are. Right? We don't know who they are. We don't recognize them, right? They don't know who they are, right? Because that's not what the scriptures say. The scripture doesn't speak about no Ish-ite people, right? It speaks about the sons of Jacob, sons of Israel, right? So let me give this. I maybe I'll stop here, get some more scriptures in it. But where are you? Right. Let me grab Amos 9 here, right? So Amos 9 says this. Yeah. In verse 11, so in that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof, and I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old. Right. So when the Israelites return, right, the Lord's going to rebuild Israel, right, with the tabernacle of David, and close up the breaches thereof. What are the breaches? The breach between the nations, the kingdoms, right? Because Israel was split into two kingdoms, right? And basically, we're going to become one nation. So let me get a precept on this, right? Actually, let me finish reading this and I'll grab the precept, right? Verse 12, that they may possess the remnant of Edom and all of the heathen, which are called by my name, saith the Lord, that doeth this. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that the plowman shall overtake the reaper, and the treader of the grapes him that soweth seed, and the mountains shall drop sweet wine, and all the hills shall melt. And I will bring again the captivity of my people, Israel. And it mentions Israel, it doesn't mention the Ish-ites, the Jays, And they shall build the waste cities and inhabit them, right? And they shall plant vineyards and drink the wine thereof, and they shall make gardens and eat the fruit of them. And I will plant them upon their land, right? They shall have no more be pulled up out of the land which I have given them, saith the Lord thy God, right? When the Lord establishes you back or not you, right? Because you ain't the guys, but when the Most High establishes Israel back into the land, right? The Israelites are going to be at peace. You guys went in there and caused a whole heap of damn mess, man, and you still causing madness in that region, right? Instability and all this kind of business. Like you're not those people. You ain't the ones supposed to be there. Like you're meant to be there now, right? But as imposters, you ain't meant to be there. You ain't the ones fulfilling this prophecy that we're reading about, right? There's no peace in that land, right? But like I said, it's for the children of Israel, which you're not a big proponent, or you don't acknowledge the whole kingdom of Israel because you're not even a kingdom. You're not even a kingdom. But you always speak about the Ish-ite people, right? Which is really, the Jays are only represented. Well, the term where it comes from is really speaking about the tribe of Judah, right? But collectively, you can throw in there the tribes of Benjamin and Levi, right? Because that was the kingdom of Judah, right? The southern kingdom, right? They was being called Jews. That's as a collective, right? And that's what you promote. But the children of Israel is all 12 tribes, and all 12 tribes are not there, right? That's not the prophecy. What you're speaking, what you went and did is not the prophecy, right? This is the prophecy, right? Ezekiel 37 verse. I could read up. I could read up. Let's see. I'm moving from verse 13, right? So, and you shall know that I am the Lord when I have opened your graves, O my people, and brought you up out of your graves, giving us this truth back, right? Which is something that you claim, you've always been, you've always known you're Ish-ites, right? You never lost no knowledge of nothing. You got records dating back to this rabbi and this rabbi, right? You got no what do they call that? Like documentation showing that you go back to the patriarchs, because that's impossible. No one's got that, right? But you claim you following this religion and all this kind of stuff. So that's your evidence now, apparently, right? But it only goes back so far, right? And that's how you're claiming, to be the people, whatever. But it's your converts, your people that follow Judaism, right? Which has a history to that, but I'm not going to go into that right now, right? But it says, and verse 40, and shall put my spirit in you, and ye shall live, and I shall place you in your own land. Then shall you know that I, the Lord, have spoken it and performed it, saith the Lord. Right? But it's not just that we're going to go into the land and like everything else is going to continue as normal around us. No, things are going to drastically change once we return back to the land. Hell, we're going to be changed when we return to the land. Right? And none of that's occurred right now. Right? The word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, Moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick and write upon it, for Judah and for the children of Israel, right? So, i.e., the Jews, right? Of Israel, his companions. Then take another stick and write upon it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, right? Which is the rest of the 10 tribes this represents, right? And for all of the house of Israel, his companions, right? This is the whole house of Israel we're speaking about, right? and join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in thy hand. Right? And this is a prophecy that only, beginning of our elders and apostles have fulfilled, right? They ain't done nothing to do with this, right? And when the children of thy people shall speak unto thee, saying, wilt thou not show us what thou meanest by these? Say unto them, thus saith the Lord God Yahweh, behold, I will take the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Israel his fellows, and will put them with him, even with the stick of Judah, and make them one stick, and they shall be one in mine hand. And the sticks whereon thou writest shall be in thy hand before their eyes, right? Again, something that, we can have elders and apostles we have fulfilled, right? In the land of America and, subsequent places where we've been scattered. 21 says, and say unto them, thus saith the Lord God Yahweh, behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen, wherever they be gone, and I will gather them on every side and bring them into their own land. And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be a king to them all. There's no king in the land of Israel. You are a prime minister, right? And you vote in man because you use this democracy system. You vote in man, even though it's corrupt as fuck, and he always getting in power, right? Bibi's always getting power, but you don't have a king. You don't run a kingdom. You don't run a nation that's whole. You don't have all the tribes there. And there shall be no more two nations, neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms anymore at all. Neither shall they defile themselves anymore with their idols, which you still got idols over there, nor with their detestable things, nor with, as I said, they got pink parades and all kinds of shit going on, nor with any of their transgressions, but I will save them out of all their dwelling places wherein they have sinned, and will cleanse them. They're still going and doing badness. So they shall be my people, and I will be their God. And David my servant shall be king over them. Where's King David? And they all shall have one shepherd. They shall all also walk in my judgments and observe my statutes and do them, which they don't. They don't even follow the scriptures. They got this thing called the Talmud, which they really go by. And they shall dwell in the land that I have given unto Jacob my servant, wherein your fathers had dwelt. And they shall dwell therein, even they and their children and their children's children forever. And my servant David shall be their prince forever. Moreover, I'll make a covenant of peace with them. Where's the peace at? Right? It shall be an everlasting covenant with them. Where's the everlasting kingdom? Right? And I will place them and multiply them and will set my sanctuary in the midst of them forevermore. God is not in that place, man. You can't even get the whole land. You got Muslims and shit living there, man. And like I said, we're not no defenders of these Palestinians, man, because ultimately the Mossad is going to get rid of them too. Because the land doesn't belong to them, but it doesn't belong to either of these two groups. Right? It belongs to us. So the Mossad is going to destroy these people off the land, and we're going to fulfill this prophecy that we're reading here. Right? The Lord is going to bring us all together and put us back into the land. The Lord is going to do that. Not no British Airways or British government, signed by the Rothschilds. It ain't going to go down like that. It says, my tabernacle also shall be with them. Yea, I will be their God, and they shall be my people. And the heathen shall know that I, the Lord Yahweh, do sanctify Israel, when my sanctuary shall be in the midst of them forevermore. Right? The heathen shall know it. It's going to be evident. These nations should not be fucking with you if you were the children of the Lord. Because you got established. Right? All these nations are meant to bow down. Right? There's supposed to be peace on earth. There ain't meant to be no war no more. You ain't fulfilling nothing. Because the time hasn't come yet for this prophecy to be fulfilled. Because you ain't the guys. So that's an incorrect statement. Like I said, man. The land doesn't belong to the Ish-ite people. It belongs to the children of Israel. All 12 tribes. Right? Let's see. The president loves us and knows how we feel about Israel, he said. We believe the president respects us and that we have his confidence and ear. Yeah. Yeah, that's right, you do. Right? We would not have had the hostages back without him. He will stand with us and will not cave into the Ish-ite haters' intentions regarding Judea and Samaria or a Palestinian state. He will try everything he can to help Israel, Evans said. Blah, blah, blah. We are seeking to unify and demonstrate that unity between evangelical Christian leaders in America, Israel, and the Ish-ite people. right? I wonder what Vocab's take is on this. Was he called up? Did he go? But he believes in the supersessionism. He don't believe these tiny tops, have claim to the land. But he'll sit and defend them, because really he's on the payroll, man. Right? He knows who his master is, man. So between evangelical Christian leaders in America, Israel, and the Jewish people, and to counter any perception that this community is divided on the issue, but it is not. Pastor Mike Atkins, a member of the delegation. This anti-SMs, right, that erupted had long been simmering beneath the surface of university campuses in major European cities. This is an open stand against the lies and the declaration of our commitment to the truth, whatever. So Atkins explained that the delegation has been exposed at the highest levels to first-hand insights, visiting the site of Hamas, October 7th, 2023, right? Listening to victims and seeing the realities on the ground in Israel. Delegates, he said, have also received extensive information through symposium speakers on how to combat anti-SM's deception, right? And will continue to do so as they coalesce into a coalition. So to the youth, I say, join the movement. Commit to never again allowing the poisonous deception of anti-SMs to penetrate our culture. Take a stand, speak out, and do not remain silent. Right? This made me laugh. Right? The best medicine for Ish-ite derangement syndrome. That man are calling it a fucking illness, man. What was that stand against these Ish-ites? Right? Have a syndrome. You are sick. You're mad. And the first thing I thought about, right, was this. Right? And I thought I had to bring this up, man. Right? this is the type of the shit the devil does, man. Some typical devil shit. Right? They used to call this when Jake would want to escape from the plantations, right? Because they were getting fucking abused, right? He saw this guy, he brought it up, right? Right, with your scientific fucking racism shit, right? We call it a syndrome. Right? We got an illness because we wanted to escape, and call this shit drapetomania. Right? It's the same shit. You're doing the same shit, man. Drapetomania was a proposed mental illness that in 1851 American physician Samuel, I think his name is Alphodolphus or something like that, Cartwright, hypothesized as the cause of enslaved Americans fleeing captivity. This hypothesis was based on the belief that slavery was such an improvement on the lives of slaves that only those suffering from some form of illness or mental illness would wish to escape. It's mental, bro. You're mental, bro. You're mental, man. Right, Cartwright specifically cited the tendency of slaves to flee the plantations that held them, since slaves happy with their condition would not want to leave. How can you be happy in captivity, bro? You're disturbed, man. Right? He inferred that such people had to be sick, imperious to the natural order of things, right? And this is this whole superior, white supremacy type shit that you man are pushing again, through this the scientific racism. Right? He published an article about black slaves' illnesses and idiosyncrasies in DeBow's review. Right? Some man mocked it, in the North, but the South were quite receptive to it. Right? There's something interesting here that I read that was quite funny. Because they like to throw in God, right? Everything behind all their accusations, the scientific racism, they're always throwing in God in there, God in there, right? Because it makes that everything they're doing is based on piety, as these are God-fearing people. So in Diseases and Peculiarities of the Negro Race, Cartwright says that the Bible calls for a slave to be submissive to his master, and by doing so, the slave will have no desire to run away. So that made us sick, right? That was too much, man. So if the white man attempts to pose the deity's will by trying to make the Negro anything else than the submissive knee bender, right? They need to be that's your place, man. You ain't no more than a slave to the so-called white man. If you Edomites try to do anything more with them, man, you're going off. You're going against the Most High's will, right? You're a sinner, right? These black monkeys are supposed to be under your feet, bro. This is what they were on. This is what they were on, man. Justifying everything that they were doing, right? But this is not a natural position, bro. You're meant to be our servants, right, Esau, right? The elder shall serve the younger. That is your place, man. Okay, what you did to us, what you're doing to us, man, is a grave fucking mistake, man. The Most High gonna severely punish you, man, for touching the apple of his eye. All right, but I'm getting to that another topic, maybe, right? Another time. Um, let's see what else is here. Hey, right. Yeah, you just talking madness, right? So, but if he keeps him in the position that we learn from the scriptures, he was intended to occupy, that is the position of submission. And if his master or overseer be kind and gracious in his bearing towards him without condensation, and at the same time minister to his physical wants and protects him from abuses, the Negro is spellbound. Because it's witchcraft what these men do, bro. You know what I mean? So the Negro is spellbound and cannot run away. Right? It's crazy. But this what these small houses, the same thing. What they just said just there with uh, some medicine for Ish-ite derangement syndrome, an acute form of bigotry and anti-SM. They might have got a label for it and everything, man. It's crazy. But here in this part, it said prevention and remedy. In addition to identify drapetomania, his feeling was that with proper medical advice strictly followed, this troublesome practice that many Negroes have of running away can be almost entirely prevented. In the case of slaves sulky and dissatisfied without cause, a warning sign of imminent flight. Cartwright mentioned whipping the devil out of them as a preventative measure. These devils are something else, bro. They're something fucking else, right? And it's the same shit. You can see these are the same people, bro. It ain't no fucking, no different. But anyway, back here, it says the best medicine for Ish-ite derangement syndrome, an acute form of bigotry and anti-SMs, is for people to come to Israel and see and hear for themselves. These American spiritual leaders are committed to using their pulpits and influence to provide truth, right? So they're going to try to overturn the narrative, right? Truth is the best antibiotic to combat the conspiracy theories and falsehoods, right? So about the United States, its partnership with Israel and the Ish-ite people, he added. Right, so they're trying to combat all the things that are being spoken about them, and this is, it's going to be even harder to speak on them. I don't even know if this video is going to stay up. I haven't got a clue, right? But a lot of time, you can't talk about them. You can't criticize them. Because they're always right. They have the ultimate truth. You're wrong. If you disagree with them, you're wicked. You're the devil. Right? That's how they treat people. All right, and they're the biggest liars. They're the biggest devils. All right, they're lying like crazy. All right, and so we don't rate that. We don't rate the lies, right? But let's get these scriptures, man. Let's get these scriptures right. This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 16. We are well. All right. Let me get the context of the thing, right? Verse 1, right? For the ungodly said, reasoning with themselves, but not aright. Our life is short and tedious, and in the death of a man there is no remedy. Neither was there any man known to have returned from the grave, right? So this is what the ungodly, i.e. these Edomites, right, how they think, okay? And you read this, this is how they behave, right? But verse 16 says, we are esteemed of him, i.e., let me read up a little bit. I'm reading from verse 12, right? Therefore, let us lie in wait for the righteous because he is not for our turn, right? So the righteous are going to stand against the ungodly, i.e. these Edomites, these Ish-ites, all right? Because he is not for our turn, and he is clean contrary to our doings. He upbraideth us with our offending the law and objective to our infamy, the transgression of our education, right? That's why we're always speaking out against them. He professeth to have knowledge of the Most High, and he calleth himself the child of the Lord. That's what we're doing, right? We're combating the so-called truths of this world, right? As told by you, right? We're combating that to bring you the actual truth, the real truth, that we're the Lord's children. You know, he was made to reprove our thoughts. He is grievous unto us even to behold, for his life is not like other men's, his ways are of another fashion. We are esteemed of him as counterfeits. And this is what we you know what we do, man. We're pointing, man, and saying, man, you're liars, man. You men are lying. Okay, you're not who you say you are. All right, so all this bullshit is over nothing. It's a lie. You got no claim to that land. You know, you don't deserve no backing. You know, and all these different types of things. Right? So we are esteemed of him as counterfeits, right? Because you are counterfeits, you're frauds, right? He abstaineth from our ways as from filthiness. He pronounceth the end of the just to be blessed, and maketh his boast that God is his father. Right? That's us, right? Understanding who we are now, and understanding who you are not, and what you are, right? Because you're the Edomites. Revelation 3 verse 9 says, behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. Right? The Most High is going to reveal who's who, man. Right? But as far as as far as we're concerned, man, you don't fulfill no prophecies, man. You don't fulfill the scriptures. And that automatically rules you out. Right? We can sit there and debate about who's the Israelites, who's not the Israelites, but I tell you what, you ain't you. Because you ain't feel no prophecy, man. Okay, but you're sitting there bold faced acting like, so righteous, and you're just demons. You know? You're the heathen in that land that's prophesied about. Right? You're going to read now, Isaiah 1 verse 7. Right? It says, your country is desolate, your cities are burned with fire, your land, strangers devour it in your presence. Right? We're watching the heathen fight over our land. A fight over the land, a land that doesn't belong to them. Trying to lay claim to it. Right? And destroy it. And defile it. You know? So strangers devour it in your presence, and it is desolate, as overthrown by strangers. Right? It's been overthrown by strangers. Strangers are living in the land. The heathen are living in the land. So to say a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod. Okay, these heathens are in our land currently. You know? No, that's not what I want. I read that already. Where the hell is it? Did I? Anyway, yeah. Ezekiel 35, right? So thus would I make Mount Seir most desolate, and cut off from it him that passeth out, and him that returneth. And I will fill his mountains with his slain men. In thy hills and in thy valleys and in all thy rivers shall they fall that are slain with the sword. I will make thee perpetual desolations, and thy city shall not return, and ye shall know that I am the Lord Jehovah. Because thou hast said, these two nations and these two countries shall be mine. Right? You've put us in your possession. You've taken our land. Right? This is prophecy. This is biblical prophecy, right? That a nation or these Edomites would come and do this. Right? They put us into slavery, fulfilling Deuteronomy chapter 28 and 68. Right? Put us in hardcore bondage, right? Through ships. Esau went and did that. They took the land, 1948. Okay, they've done all this, man. And they occupy us. Right? It says, thou hast said, these two nations and these two countries shall be mine, and we will possess it, whereas the Lord was there, right? And now it's in your possession. So therefore, as I live, saith the Lord God Yahweh, I even do according to thine anger and according to thy envy, which thou hast used out of thy hatred against them, right? Because we were blessed with the blessing. Esau was not. He got some, little thing, right? But only he was going to serve his brother, like it was stated, right? And this is where his anger and his jealousy comes from. His envy, where his envy comes from. He so badly wants to be us, right? And be at the top, to be the most blessed. But he ain't gonna be blessed, man. Okay, he gonna be supremely cursed, right? It says, I will even do according to thy anger and according to thy envy, which thou hast used out of thy hatred against them, and I will make myself known among them when I have judged thee. Right? These men are gonna get judged. And thou shalt know that I am the Lord Yahweh, and that I have heard all thy blasphemies which thou hast spoken against the mountains of Israel, saying, they are laid desolate, they are given us to consume. These things, we and our land don't belong to you. Right? So thus with your mouth you have boasted against me, and have multiplied your words against me, I have heard them. Thus saith Lord God Yahweh, when the whole earth rejoiceth, I will make thee desolate. As thou didst rejoice at the inheritance of the house of Israel, because it was desolate, so will I do unto thee, that thou shalt be desolate. O Mount Seir, and all Idumea, okay, which are you Edomites, right? Even all of it, and they shall know that I am the Lord Yahweh. Right, so the Most High is going to cook you all, man. For all your wickedness. Is Matthew 24, verse 24. So for there shall arise false anointeds and false prophets, and shall shew great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Right. So these men are trying to change the narrative right now to make it look like I said, they're righteous. You know what I mean? That everyone should be supporting them, regardless of all the madness that they're doing right now. But they have to go about looking like they're being persecuted, because you can't be, like I said, you can't have the power and be persecuted at the same time. So you have to keep up that image of being persecuted, right? Because that's the condition of the Israelites, a nation that's persecuted and oppressed, right? But you've got so much power in the earth, man, it doesn't make any sense. So Matthew 5:11 says, blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake, right? And this is the angle that they need to kind of keep up. That's why they do what they do. That's why they orchestrate these events that take place, right? So they can turn around and say, look, man, see, we're being persecuted. These people hate us. They want to destroy us off the face of the earth. So you could believe that the whole world's wicked, right? And these men are just innocent lambs and sheep just as a prey. You know what I mean? Oh, they don't hurt nobody. They're just there. But that's not the truth. That's not the truth. What's going on? And like I said, if you was the children of the Lord, man, you should have no problems, man. You shouldn't be having no problems with none of these nations, right? Again, none of this makes any sense, because it's just too much lies. But they're here to try and convince you, of these lies. But like I said, if it were possible, they should at least deceive the very elect. But okay, we know what's going on, right? Let's see, put that. Yeah, put that. All right. So let me close out with this then. This is 2 Thessalonians 2. Yeah, I'll skip from verse 8, right? So, and then shall that wicked be revealed. Right? To us, it's already been revealed, man. But the whole world is going to find out who this wicked is. And like I said, it's these Edomites, these so-called white people that believe that they're fucking virtuous, okay, yet being demonic. You know what I mean? And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders. Right? And with all deceivableness and of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause, God shall send them strong delusion that they should believe a lie. Right? So, these people are going to, some of these people are going to believe this bullshit that these thousand pastors and influencers have been set up to do. Right? But like I said, none of this is going to stand. Okay, none of this is pulling the wool over the Most High's eye. He's gonna send his son to consume you with the spirit of his mouth, man. You ain't gonna succeed. Right? All these lies have to be destroyed. Right? Truth has to flourish, man. Okay, and you're not holders of the truth. You don't tell the truth. Right? In 2 Ezra chapter 6, verse 28, it says, verse 27, for evil shall be put out and deceit shall be quenched. Okay, the lies are going to stop. Right? Because you telling the most amount of lies, man. Right? So as for faith, it shall flourish, corruption shall be overcome, and the truth, which have been so long without fruit, shall be declared. Right? I say it ain't coming from you. You don't hold the truth. You don't tell the truth. You're not about truth, man. You're the devil. You're about lies, deceit. Right? You can try and change the narrative all you want. It's not going to change anything. It's not going to change your end. All right? But yeah, I'm going to end it there anyway. Lord, this has been edifying. And I'll catch you brothers and sisters in the next video. Until next time, I say shalom.